On this week's GTA 6 o'clock, hype builds for news on November 22nd. It is something that's seemingly been done before, leading up to the release of Trailer 1. The latest versions of the GTA 6 map.
Can I say them out loud? Some of the locations we know from the leaks? I'm going to say some of them out loud.
And GTA 6 is already racking up the awards.
GTA 6 has been nominated at the Golden Joystick Awards for...
It's all here on this week's GTA 6 o'clock. Hello and welcome to episode 50 of GTA 6 o'clock, the world's most in-depth and best connected GTA 6 show. We have done it. Sound the alarms, bring out the party poppers, release trailer 2. We are now 50, Dan. Thank you to everyone who has helped us get here by listening to the show, emailing, talking to us on Twitter, etc. And not only are we 50, there's only 2 episodes left until we've been here an entire year.
Yeah, that's right. 1 year anniversary and more like 13 or 14 years if you go back to the launch of GTA 5 o'clock. But we don't do that because we're born again and it will be a 1 year anniversary in just 2 weeks.
Yeah, and almost in celebration of the fact that this is the 50th episode and we are almost 1, there's loads to talk about this week, starting with some hot fakes.
Oh!
Now, these screenshots, there are 3 of them, and actually, to be fair, a fair few others have appeared online this week, and we are here to put the big fake stamp on them. I think these have come from a Twitter or X account called Play GTA Online V.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I say I think because if they've come from somewhere else, they've not been credited on that account. So I don't know where they've come from. They could have come from this place. It could have come from another source. They have been written up on a few fringy websites, none of your mainstream ones, but a couple of people have picked it up and said, could this be another leak? We are going to say no. We can put the 3 images on screen, I think. By looking at them first glance, I think most people would be able to say these are probably not legit. The thing that's interesting here is this Twitter account is it's one of those ones that is mixing real screenshots and videos from the 2022 leaks in with these screenshots to, I'm assuming, try and add some legitimacy to everything. To be like, well, look, these are real leaks. Here are some other leaks. Therefore, all of this stuff is true. That is not what's happening. There are some things on there that are definitely from the leaks, and I'm surprised that they are actually still online because some of those clips are quite long.
Yeah.
They're not the worst fakes that we've seen. And certainly back in the GTA 5 days when we were doing GTA 5 o'clock that we don't talk about, some of the ones we got back in the day there were pretty ropey.
Yeah.
And not at this level, but that's the wave of the internet and technology getting better for you. That means that leaks are going to get harder and harder to differentiate between what they are and the real things. But there's a few things in here I think, Dan, we can spot straight away. There's the image of the guy who I think we're meant to assume is Jason on a jet ski.
Mm.
There's some quite excessive blurring on the left of that image, which is normally what you get when AI doesn't really know what to do. And it just goes, I'll just smudge this a little bit. Also, it's probably been told that that jet ski is moving quite fast, so it's added some blur stuff. But there isn't really any blurring to the right-hand side or anything else, so that would suggest that that's probably an AI-generated image. The car shot has some in-game dialogue at the bottom of it, which is like the most generic dialogue you'll ever get. It says, what does it say? Something like, take the meth to the location.
Deliver the meth to the drop-off.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Deliver meth to drop-off.
Now, nice image, but I would say we've never got screenshots at this stage with, in-game instructions at the bottom of them. It's just not something that's going to happen this early on, a year out from the game coming out. And then across all of the shots, there's a mini-map markers that seems to be reusing some images and icons from GTA 5. So all in all, good effort, but absolutely fake.
Yeah, there's so little to add. I mean, it's just like you say, we live in an age of extreme deepfakes, AI ever improving. Yeah, well done. Well done, that person.
And how much of that will feed into the plot of GTA 6? Let's see.
Well, let's see. And I think we talked last week about watching a YouTuber crow to his audience about how he made a fake. And it's quite an interesting watch. I guess the amusing denouement is essentially when he says, and yes, ultimately no one believed me, but doesn't it look quite good? And like his process is very impressive. It's just not true, and I think people are wise to that now. So there we go. The attention economy demands new fake lambs to the slaughter, and I guess these are the latest.
And I guess it's because of the silence that we've had since trailer 1 that people are so desperate for something to happen soon, hopefully sooner rather than later, that anything like this is just is something to look at and go. Even if you have to go, no, that's not real, at least it's something to go, oh, no, that's not GTA 6. Please give me something else to look at.
Well, and what's amusing about the coverage of this latest set of screenshot leaks is that even the websites that cover it in themselves are instructive, because as you say, they're the sort of fringe websites. I laughed last week about the Times of India would cover everything, would cover anything. Even their reportage of this suggests they could be fake.
But they have covered it.
Of course they have. But that's another strand of inverted commas journalism where you go, behold, this thing we know is fake, and we're saying it's fake, but we covered it anyway. And I guess so are we.
Much like what we are doing today.
And so are we. But I guess our entire raison d'etre of the show is to do things like this. So I think for other websites, it's just an excuse to put GTA 6 in a headline. And there we go. And maybe you could argue there's public service in debunking things, but we're all fooling ourselves.
Okay, so Dan, let's move on to the hype that is November 22nd, which, as you listen to this, dear listeners, is only 2 days away.
Oh.
Now, if you've been listening to the show over the past few weeks, you'll know that we and the rest of the community, or some of the community, is getting pretty hyped about November 22nd. That is because one of the latest GTA Online screenshots had an image of the moon in it that points to the real-life phase of the moon, and that real-life phase of the moon is going to happen on Friday. It is something that's seemingly been done before, leading up to the release of Trailer 1. So the question is, I guess before we get into it, even though we've been into it for the last couple of weeks, is could this happen again? Could this be a little hint, or is it something that Rockstar feel that has played out now and they wouldn't go back to one of those teasers again?
I think companies like Rockstar repeat strategies, don't they? And so I think it's quite a plausible thing to say. And I'm just as we speak, I was revisiting the message that went out on November the 8th, 2023, where it says, we are very excited to let you know that in early December, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto. We look forward to many more years of sharing these experiences with you all. Thank you, Sam Houser. Which went out on November the 8th, 2023, which was how many weeks out from when it actually happened? I guess there was the leak, wasn't there? But how many weeks was that from when it actually happened?
Well, it came December 5th.
So that's quite a bit of advance notice. Obviously, their hand was forced somewhat come off the time. But yeah, I wonder whether they would announce such a large window now. If it is this November 22nd, would they go, and in a month, for example, at the end of December, there'll be another trailer. I feel like they would shorten that window. I don't know why. I just think because of what happened last time, they might go, it's coming a bit sooner than you think. And it's here.
And I think, the tease that we got for trailer 1 was only a matter of days. So we got the tease on December the 1st, which then pointed to December the 5th. I think a similar thing would happen with trailer 2. I don't know why they wouldn't want to tease the release of the trailer again, but that was done very much with, a social post to just say, it's coming, prepare yourselves. I feel like that will happen again for trailer 2. Will that happen again on Friday, the 22nd? Maybe. I feel like if something is going to happen on Friday, that's what it will be. It will be a precursor to a thing that is happening in the following week, just to get everybody, hyped up, prepared, ready for whenever that date will be. The kicker here, Dan, if you
Uh-oh.
really want to add more meat onto your horse, we can by looking at the song Rockstar used for trailer 1. Now, this is going very deep now, but you all know that the song used in trailer 1 was Love is a Long Road by Tom Petty. But do you know, Dan, what album that's from?
Well, I suspect I'm about to find out, and it might be significant.
The album is called Full Moon Fever.
Dun, dun, dun.
Another reference to the moon. And if we go a little bit deeper, do you know what one of the lyrics in Love is a Long Road by Tom Petty used in trailer 1 from the album Full Moon Fever is?
Yeah, and he goes, and on November the 22nd, Rockstar gonna announce a new trailer, possibly trailer 2. Is it that?
It's almost that.
Yeah.
But it's actually, there's less words.
Oh!
One of the lyrics is, I would wait for the moon.
Oh, okay.
Another moon reference. So, all of this comes together. They've used the moon in one of the GT Online screenshots. Tom Petty's song from trailer 1 is from an album that references the moon. Some of the lyrics also feature the moon.
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to be the moon. Everything points to the moon. To confirm, Friday the 22nd could be an announcement for a trailer that is coming in the following week or so.
Do you actually believe, if you, again, put the money test, what sort of odds are you staking on this day being significant?
The day being significant, I think the odds are pretty good. I think, as we've discussed on the podcast before, if everything is currently on track, which from the last investor call we've been told it is, they would have to start releasing some material soon-ish to build up the marketing train on the way up to release. If that is going to be this year, that only leaves them a couple of dates left, we think. One of those dates is next week. You know, we think the window of the 25th to the 30th is sensible. The only other date that they've got is December the 5th, which is the anniversary of the release of trailer 1. So it's either next week or the week after. And I think, as I said last week, if we don't get anything on those 2 dates, we're not getting anything this year. And then you're into the problematic territory of it's getting pretty close to release. At some point, we either have to release something or tell the world that we're going to have to push this back by a few months.
To go a whole calendar year without assets is some flex.
It's not unusual, you know, for a GTA game. In this day and age, it is unusual to not get anything for an entire year from any game, from any title. You'd expect an announcement and then something. But we've seen things before that have been announced with I think it's because it's coming in 2025. We've seen games get announced that say, at the beginning of this year that said coming 2026. And then you'd go, well, there's no chance we're going to hear about that again for another 18 months. But the fact that it is 2025, more specifically fall 2025, really narrows that window for releasing stuff, getting it in front of people, doing more trailer drops, doing more screenshot drops, all of that kind of stuff. So to full circle around on your question, the odds on it being this Friday, I'd throw £20 at it.
Whoa.
On a 2-1 bet.
Okay.
Which is pretty short.
Yeah, that's quite good
maybe
odds.
2-1 is too short. Maybe it's 10-1.
So is that like a sort of, you think like a 50% chance? Or higher?
I'd say I'd like to believe that the 22nd is a significant date and that they have teased it via the moon and all of that is quite clever. But we've been down this road before, Dan, and I've got quite excited about numerous dates this year. I think I've lost about £200.
Yeah, haven't we all? And then let's say it was Friday. Would you expect the trailer as soon as next week?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Really?
26th.
Wow.
Possibly 28th.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say I don't know on Friday. I think there's a beautiful, convenient story that going back to the conversation we had with, say, Ben Hinchcliffe and different people who would actually know how Rockstar work, I think there is a degree of them laying out little seeds for us to follow and tracing things. And there's also an element of us inventing stuff, of course. But like, there's quite a good, fun, believable breadcrumb trail here about the moon. So that would make it fun to do something Friday. I guess I'm not. I feel like I'm 50-50 on Friday. I think it's a beautiful narrative, but I'm not sure, because of course you can't be sure, right? Of course you can't.
Do you believe then that there would be a tease before the next bunch of assets, whether that be a screenshot dump or trailers?
I think so, because it's fairly consistent with strategy to this point to say that something will be coming on this day, batten down the hatches, because it's such a seismic event. We all like to be told.
Yeah, and in a way, it's sort of everybody else move out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It's essentially international politics. It is. Our nation is angry, and through our intermediaries, we're going to tell you we might strike on a non-civilian target. You don't want to sound glib about it, but like that's how international politics works. People announce their intentions really clearly to minimise the effect on others. And so, like, yeah, I think to an extent this is kind of what Rockstar do. Like, do I think if they do something Friday, it will drop next week? I've still got this weird thing in my bones about the first week of December.
Well, that would be the first year and the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, that's right. Like the second or the fifth, I think, which is still sufficiently ahead. I'd say sufficiently ahead of the Game Awards that it's done and dusted, and then the Game Awards can do something that in no way gazumps or spoils Rockstar, but might allow Jeff Keighley to say, and we're all looking forward to GTA 6 next year, but like not actually reveal anything new. It's just because Rockstar have already played their hand. I just don't think they would give him that sort of ammunition to do that. But,
yeah.
So I think that's very plausible in the kind of hidden politics of it all. I don't know. Let's wait and see how they decide to play it. Whether the leak of the trailer has changed their thinking to cold drop. But I don't know. I think it's more for them about protecting how they do it and the process. I don't think the idea of telling people is necessarily.
No, and we talked about this way back when the first trailer came out and what might have to change in their processes of revealing that trailer. And I totally agree. I think they will tell people the date. There was no world in which they are doing a YouTube premiere of this again. I think it will be and because that was a nice moment because you could see everybody waiting. And you could see those numbers ticking up. And that was probably really great internally to go, yes, look, people are excited.
Real. Yeah.
There's no chance that they'll ever do that again. I think they'll upload it as late as possible and then just flip it public, and then it will just appear at the time that they've told people it's going to appear, but there won't be like a countdown or anything like before. It's just too risky.
Yeah, you've almost got to go down to the Mission Impossible style. There is one key and it's in one briefcase held by one man.
Yeah.
And you need his eyes to unlock the retinal scanner. But it's the digital equivalent of that. They just can't put it anywhere it could be accessed or shared. It's got a security risk. So I would say they would keep that loop as tight as possible until as late as possible. Because you would.
Yeah.
They've learned the painful way. And like you said about giving advance notice, there was sort of, in a way, nothing worse than that leaking early because it took all the magic out of it. All of a sudden, you had that moment where you went, oh, it's leaked, it's real. Is it real? It's real. Yeah, it's definitely real.
Yeah.
But it all felt muddled and panicked. And you don't want that. I think you want to go, like you're going to the cinema, you're settling down, you got your popcorn. Begin the thing I'm looking forward to. Calmly, I'm ready. Maybe I say that as someone whose job is to report on this thing and I'm being selfish, but I still think it was an unideal environment to experience that trailer.
Yeah, for sure. And what will happen on the flip side of that is we'll all be sitting at our computers furiously hitting F5 on a YouTube window, hoping that it's going to magically appear in front of our eyes.
That's anticipation. That's fine. That's like the build up to a major football event or something. It's the anticipation of kickoff. So that's good.
Great. Well, let us know your opinions in the comments. Do you think something's going to come this Friday, the 22nd? Are you in that camp? Are you leaning towards more with Dan of a early December drop? Or do you think that everything's going to have to come in 2025 now? Let us know in the comments, and we will see next week on the show. We'll either have some news, we might even have some assets by this time next week. We will wait and see. Right, let's head into a little bit more of the speculation territory here, and the map, GTA 6's map. Now, it's always a huge topic. We've covered it already extensively on the podcast when we were doing the GTA 5. The map was a huge thing to talk about. There has been two, I would say, pretty legitimate versions, fan-made, I will say, these are not real in any way, of the map that have been floating around. We'll put them on screen for you. Version 1, which is... So first there is this one version of the map that looks a little bit more like real-life Florida, like the state of Florida in its size. And then we have an alternative map, which looks a little bit more like, I guess, a traditional GTA sort of... Everything's a bit more condensed. It looks a bit more like a rectangle, like, you know, like a GTA 4 map, possibly. And GTA 5, it looks similar to that. I wondered on first glance, Dan, if you have a favourite of these two. Obviously, the place names here are all mostly made up, and some of them do relate to, like, obviously we know things are going to be called Vice City, but other than that, take the place names with a pinch of salt. But do you have a preference of what kind of map you would be driving around come the release of the game?
Do you mean which one do I think is more authentic, or which one would I like?
Oh, well, there's a question. Well, let's say which one do you think is more authentic?
This is a slight confusion, I think, between the one that I think has the most accurate pinned locations and or geographical accuracy. So the first map, the pinkier one, that does contain the highest concentration of locations we know to be in GTA 6 based on what we either know to be true from the trailers, and this is the bit where we're in the Twilight Zone, based on the verified leaks. There were quite a few locations in those leaks that the community has been expecting to be anointed, and this map places a few of them in plausible but not definitely true locations. So something like, let's pick a location such as, say, Sundown, which was like part of the leaks. We don't know where it is, but would placing Sundown on the west coast where the sun goes down make sense? Probably, yeah. Like that, you know, at a very crude level, that makes sense. So, like, I'm inclined towards the attempt at accuracy provided by map number 1. And number 2, though, in terms of a shape, I think is also maybe a more satisfying, drivable, more Los Santos looking map, to be honest. So I think the navigability of it is better. The problem with a map like number 1, with the sort of real life Florida accurate west tip, is like when you're in that tip, that corner of the map, it's like you've got a very difficult and winding route back down. Where in a map that's more square, you've almost got like multiple choices and routes to get to places. Yeah. So for a game experience, I think that's probably better. But more accurate, I feel like, is map 1.
Yeah, well, welcome to real life. Things are difficult. You're going to have to... You don't always get the easiest route to where you want to go. You're going to have to drive quite a long way to get from that tip to the bottom.
Between that and fuel in my car, this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, maybe you're not going to play it at all. Maybe it's going to be a disaster. There is, of course, another map that is floating around the internet, which has all of the points of interest on, but it has been generated from coordinates that were found in the leaks, visualizations of things from the trailer and that kind of thing, which also has a sort of panhandly bit is the same as the pinky map, but obviously none of that sort of northern area of the map has been seen at all in anything. So it's hard to say whether it is going to stretch out to the left or just be a more of a contained rectangle like you would enjoy, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. I do love myself a rectangle.
I think the interesting thing with all of these maps, and even probably with the one that contains all of those significant points of interest and things, is that they all seem to now contain 3 major cities.
Yes.
Which is the current thinking, or at least 3 major dwellings that are bigger than just like a trailer park or something like that. That there may be not only Vice City, but other suburbs from that are, built up housing. There is shops there. It's more of a community and that kind of thing, not something that you would just drive past and see a few houses. We think there could be some significant other towns, maybe other cities that are going to be located in and around the map, which is exciting to have, more than one major location for the story and for you to just go and hang out in.
So what do we, to attempt to draw some clarity with it, what are the definitive areas we expect to be and or know to be, like in terms of the big triangulated city points, within the map?
The big things we know, obviously Vice City.
Yes.
We've seen that. That whole section of the coast, we're pretty confident all of that is going to be there. We've seen all of the Everglades. Well, not all of the Everglades. We've seen someone driving a thing around the Everglades in the trailer. The assumption is we're going to have a lot of the Everglades. And we've seen a lot of the Florida Keys in there, the islands off to the south of the map. So you'd expect all of that to be fully mapped in there. So I would say, if we're back to our percentages, 50% of these maps downwards, north to south, the south half, pretty solid.
Yeah.
The northern bit of it is still up for debate, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So we've got like Vice City sort of dominating the east coast and or southeast coast, leading down to like the sort of Everglades area that some people are linking to calling it grass rivers or that kind of area. That pick your map and pick where that gets put, but that seems to be a consistent location. There's some debate about just south of Vice City whether there's an area called Homestead or Hamlet. Hamlet is an area that appeared in leaks. Whether it's in the right location, I don't know. We feel quite confident on Port Gellhorn, which seems to be consistent within the mapping project.
Yeah, we're confident like that on the west coast.
Yes.
It's going to be somewhere over there.
Yeah.
But still middle or south of the entire map.
That's right. But then when we head north, this is where the trailer hasn't verified some of the locations we're expecting to find based on the leaks.
And some of our own speculation and conversations. Right? So that area is where we would expect to find GTA's version of Disneyland. If it's going to be in the game, might be up there. If there is going to be some kind of space center or rocket launch pad, we'd expect that to be in the northern area as well as some forests and probably the giant lake.
Yeah, and there's, can I say them out loud? Some of the locations we know from the leaks?
Can you say them out loud?
I'm going to say some of them out loud and say they may or may not be true. Ambrosia, Red Hill, Sundown, as we just talked about. Like, that feels like a good thing to be on a west coast, God knows where. Copperhead, Yorktown, Lake Leonida, we know about that one.
Some of them have turned into a lot of them.
Yeah,
I'm going to say a lot of them. I'm going to say
all of them. And Hamlet, and I haven't said two of them. So, I mean, look, I'm saying them because they're quite easy to find on the internet still. Let's see if they're true. We don't know. And I think the map community is sort of trying itself in knots, deciding. And look, again, just because something leaked doesn't mean it can't change. I do feel with locations, though, the map is a hard thing for Rockstar to shift about too much, because that's kind of the underpin of everything that happens. So I always think with the mapping community work, it's pretty much excellent. The dedication people go to. So of all the things we talk about on the show every week, I probably place greater stock in the mapping or the stuff that's kind of triangulated properly with geography and screenshots.
Yeah.
That work proved to be exceptionally accurate around GTA 5. So
there's no way you can get away from it, really, going, this image from this trailer has this building in the background. That building is also in the background of this shot, and you could then roughly triangulate them to be this far away. Like, all of that stuff, as you say, pretty accurate last time, is, I would say, remains to be accurate today. And what is interesting is, if we do get anything trailer 2 related or even screenshots, we'll be able to add those things into these maps, and maybe then start being able to see, have we seen anything from the north or not? And that will be the really exciting thing, to be just to see how the map develops once we start getting a few more assets.
Yeah, I just think this is if you really want to sort of quasi spoil GTA 6 for yourself, this is the place you want to be looking. Like, the mapping project is pretty good, and I definitely feel strongly about the south side of the map. I think the bit is the contention that we've talked about is that north to northwest area. Is it going to mimic real life geography, or, as I seem to like, make it a giant navigatable square?
Yeah, my £20 again is going on the unnavigatable panhandle shape of a map.
Yeah,
a bit panhandly, not extreme.
Yeah, and I actually agree with that. I think that whilst that is probably from a game design perspective not ideal, I think I agree with that idea of it having a bit more of a defined shape.
Right then, onto some news we can absolutely verify, and that is that the awards for GTA 6 have already started piling up. Well, not piling up yet, they haven't won any, but the nominations for some awards have already started piling up.
There is a pile.
Yes. GTA 6 has been nominated, as we've talked about, at the Golden Joystick Awards for Most Anticipated Game. The results of that show are being broadcast live from London on November the 21st, which is this Thursday. So if you're listening to this when the episode goes out, that is tomorrow, which was when we will find out if GTA and the community has got together to nominate that game for the most anticipated game of 2025. It has also this week picked up a nomination at the Game Awards for the same thing, most anticipated game. The Game Awards is December the 13th, 2024. So it's award season. GTA is getting the nominations. GTA 6 is getting the nominations. Yeah, you can watch that show live on all of your favorite platforms, YouTube, Twitch, X, etc. It's also on gamesradar.com and pcgamer.com. If you're listening in the UK, it's also on Jinx TV, which is a Freeview channel, so you can go and watch it there. But we will be live at 4 p.m. UK time on Thursday the 21st, so please tune in and you'll get to see what millions of you, in this case over 12 million votes across all categories that we've had, so we get to see what you guys, the people who play the games, have voted for as most anticipated, as ultimate game of the year, as best storytelling. There's like 20 categories. Tune in, it'll be a good night. I might even appear on the stream. Dan might even appear on the stream. We are yet to work that out, even with 2 days to go as we record this episode. But it's all in progress. Very excited. Please tune in. So you guys go and do that. Add your questions in the comments. Get in touch with us on Twitter at GTAVOclock. Email us gtavio'clock@gmail.com. And we will return next week for another episode of GTA 6 o'clock.